Welcome to Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Chris Lee, joined by Chase Robinson and Jay Greason. We preview and give you our predictions on South Carolina's road trip to Ole Miss. The Rebels 12.5-point favorites as of Monday afternoon per our partners at FanDuel with a 53.5-point over-under. You can catch this one at 6 Central on ESPN. Before we tell you about it, a reminder, we are brought to you by our good friends at GameTimeSidekicks.com. These guys offer stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools. You can see Jay Greason drinking from his, 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you 20% off your entire order at GameTimeSidekicks.com. Guys, what stands out to you here? South Carolina, of course, with a near miss at home against Alabama. Ole Miss, meanwhile, on the road at Oklahoma, got a big win. Ole Miss now an overwhelming favorite to make the college football playoff at FanDuel. Jay Greason, start us off. What sticks out to you in this game?
How does South Carolina deal with the emotional hangover of looking themselves in the mirror and in the locker room and realizing that they should have beaten Alabama? And conversely, is this going to be what last year's Kentucky game was? Is Ole Miss ready for the moment? Because we talked about it in our power rankings, Chris. I mean, there are a lot of guys doing a really great job in this league this year. And there are clearly a lot of guys doing a really bad job in this league this year, since 3 openings have already happened before Halloween. You can make a hard argument that after the heartbreak of missing the playoff last year and all the stuff that Lane Kiffin had to replace, that he should be in the conversation for a Coach of the Year.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And you know, what's interesting to me about this game, you think back to last year, and I know these are two different teams, but Ole Miss goes to Williams-Brice and blows them out. And so I think that's going to be, because I think last week against Alabama, that 2-point loss in Tuscaloosa was on South Carolina's mind. I was telling people at the end of last week, look, maybe South Carolina keeps it close. Like they were so close to beating Alabama and Tuscaloosa. They wanted to beat them so bad. And I think you look at it from that perspective as well. Okay, Ole Miss blew us out last year at home. Let's go to Oxford. Let's make something happen. I think we're going to see a similar game plan of what we saw against Alabama this week against Ole Miss for South Carolina.
Guys, it feels weird to see a double-digit spread in an SEC game. That just tells you so much about the competitive landscape right now. And so here's the question. Ole Miss is a home favorite. It's 12.5. The question for me is, did South Carolina find something last week that it can tap into to maybe pull a shocking upset, which, by the way, Lane Kiffin has been prone to these, was prone to a couple of them last year. I mean, LaNorris Sellers was better. They can turn one on special teams or with defensive touchdown. What's the script you guys think, or is there a script for Carolina to make this a game? I guess I just gave you a script, so sorry to ask you now, but anything you want to take with that and run with or add to?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. I loved Chase's point about the tail beating that Ole Miss gave them last year. Made me think back to when we were doing the preview earlier this year, it was back in September. We referenced Diego Pavia going on interviews in the summer, and they asked him which game was the most important to him. And he said South Carolina, because of how bad South Carolina beat Vandy a year ago, and he delivered on his promise. I'll add to that, Ole Miss has been tremendous in some of their bigger moments. They've also really underwhelmed in a couple of games that you expected them to be sizable favorites in. I think back to Kentucky, which was a one-score game. I think back to Arkansas, which was a very losable game. I think back to Washington State, where Ole Miss was favored by 33, and they were damn lucky to win. So, look, South Carolina's got nothing to lose unless they've already lost it. Does that make any sense at all? Because you're now all of your preseason dreams are dashed. Your first-round quarterback is actually behind the Ferris State transfer in terms of almost every statistical category. And you get to this last third of the season, and when there's not as much on the table for one side, it always gives you pause. But if South Carolina is motivated, and we talked about that earlier today too, Chris, unlike what happened in LSU that got Brian Kelly a pink slip, or what happened in Fayetteville and for Sam Pittman, those last games, those teams quit. And it was clear South Carolina fought with everything they had last Saturday in Columbia. We just don't know if that is trying to redirect the script, or was that the last round in the heavyweight?
Chase, what do you got on this game? What stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, from what we saw watching that South Carolina-Alabama game, the way, the offensive line was able to play, I think, was better. And I think we alluded to that last week when we were predicting that game. But they did get some guys back along the offensive line that I think certainly helped. Give some protection to LaNorris Sellers. He was able to move around a little bit more. And so I think if he's able to do that, then that certainly is going to help South Carolina. If you have your best player able to, if he has some protection, is able to work, then that's going to help. And so I think the South Carolina offensive line is going to be key in this game to allow South Carolina to do something, because Ole Miss is going to challenge them. They're going to pressure him. Can LaNorris Sellers do his thing? That's what I'm interested in seeing. Will we see a continuation of what we saw against Alabama?
Yeah, I've kind of got my eye on that too. And here's kind of an interesting fact about Ole Miss. Last 3 games, it's won 2 of these. It's been outgained per play, although not by much, including Washington State, which I don't know what to do with that game. That may have just been a look-ahead game. Any concerns with Ole Miss here, guys? Feels like Trinidad Chambliss had, kind of found his groove again last week. They've got Kewan Lacy's running the ball well. They got a lot of guys who can catch balls. The defense hasn't been great, but it's not been awful either. But any concerns or things notable on the Ole Miss side? Jay, I'll start with you.
Well, I think the schedule works nicely with a throwaway game against the Citadel after this week. Look, I think Ole Miss players are going to be tired of hearing about Kentucky. And I know they play South Carolina this week, but I'll bet $1 every time he speaks to the team some form of reference about their playoff dreams being dashed last year because they let down against the Wildcats. I imagine he'll reference that assuredly daily, if not hourly, this week. I just think I know we'll do picks in a minute, but the stakes are just overwhelmingly too great for Ole Miss to not be anything but focused here.
Chase?
Yeah, and I think we have seen a more focused Ole Miss team. Just the way, because we've seen in years past, Kentucky game, for example, they come out and look a little out of their mind sometimes. But I feel like we haven't seen that as much as we have in years past. I think they see what can happen very quickly, like last year of you're out of the playoffs, you're done. This team wants to get there, and they're playing like it right now.
Let's get into picks, and we'll do over under later. Jay, I'll start with you.
I'm going to take the Rebels not only to win the game, but I'll cover the 12.5, which is, as you referenced, Chris, it's a testament to the balance and difficulty of this league that there's just not a whole lot of double-digit lines, it feels like, this year. For God's sakes, Ole Miss was only a 12-point pick over Tulane. So, but I think they lay the number. I think this is going to be – you ask me what I trust, and I trust Lane Kiffin and his play calling. If they're going to put 34 on Oklahoma's defense in Norman, look, South Carolina still bring the same South Carolina defense. I mean, and I think Ole Miss will be sharp and focused, and I think they pull away in the end.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ole Miss in this one as well. One, I think they're the better team. I think this is a playoff team. The way the quarterback play has been for Ole Miss, I think the Rebels get it done big time.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss, defense is leaked at times against the pass, but that's usually against really good pass offenses. And the run defense is leaked at times, but South Carolina just not a very good running team. I do wonder if you're Carolina, did you just get you had a chance to regroup last week and kind of have a second season, and then you got it ripped from you at the last minute. Jay, I think the stuff you said about Kentucky was spot on. They're going to hear about that till they're sick. This just feels to me like a great spot for Ole Miss. I think I like Ole Miss to win, and I think Ole Miss to win big because I just don't know that Carolina can move the ball with enough consistency to really play this one late into the game. Now, having said that, this is about the time. I think October is a misnomer. It's usually the last 3 or 4 games of the year where Shane Beamer's teams turn it on. So we're getting close to that territory, but it feels to me like a lot was lost in Columbia last week, and Ole Miss just was so much more to play for here. So I'm going with the Rebels and probably big. I want to get y'all's opinion on the over-under in just a minute. That is going to be 53.5. Before we do that, a reminder, we are brought to you by our friends at Yearly Company. And guys, let me tell you, don't wait till December for your Christmas shopping. Go to Yearly Company. It's a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition, designed for meaning. Each piece is handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold and natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every Yearly Company bangle is custom sized, so knowing your size is the most important first step before ordering. That's where the sizing kit comes in. It's the perfect place to start, especially for husbands who want to have sizes ready now. So shopping closer to holidays is effortless. Code SE16KIT will take 100% off your sizing kit at checkout. Also brought to you by our friends at ROKFORM. ROKFORM makes the world's strongest magnetic phone case, extreme protection, super strong magnets. Get the phone case and the vent clip for your car. Thank me for that later. I swear by both those. SEC25 gets you 25% off your entire order at ROKFORM. Also brought to you by Hovey Dry Goods. My Titans stink. My Titans hat does not stink. In fact, it's terrific. I can wear it with pride because it's such a cool hat. And it'll be your new favorite hat, too. Look no further than Hovey hats for high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. Bad Beat 15, B-A-D. I'm sorry, it's Bad Beat, B-A-D-B-E-A-T. Gets you 15% off your entire order at HoveyDryGoods.com. Over, under, the number here is 53.5. Jay Greason, what are we thinking?
Do you want to know how many South Carolina games this year have gone over 53.5?
Probably not a lot.
0.
Wow. Okay.
I think that trend continues. I think this one could have a very similar final score as to a LSU or even a Vandy. I don't see a whole lot of success long-term for a South Carolina team that is barely converting more than a third of their third downs and allowing almost 47% conversion on third down. The highest scoring South Carolina game of the season was last week, 29-22.
Wow.
Chase?
Yeah, I would echo Jay in a lot of those things, and yeah, I don't want to just copy Jay, but Jay really knows his stuff, and I trust Jay.
Hey, you almost took the words out of my mouth. I think Jay nailed it there. No burying the lead here. I just don't trust Carolina to move the ball consistently. Now, I will say your hesitation might be typical game for Ole Miss runs about a dozen more plays than does South Carolina. So maybe those extra plays put you over the total, but I think Jay nailed it. I think maybe a Vanderbilt type game that was 30-9, 30-10, something like that. 31-7, excuse me. Yeah, that feels like what we might get here. We'll be here to recap it later. Subscribe to the channel, enable your notifications so that you can catch that. God bless you. Have a great week. For Jay Grease and Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.